Well, hello everyone, and welcome back to the costumeco channel. And today I am doing another fabulous interview with a costume designer from the new show Spider Noir. So excited to have with me costume designer Trayce Gigi Field. Welcome, Trayce. Thanks so much for joining me today.
Thanks for having me.
And I was commenting before we went live. You have this fabulous background, it's sort of like a deco wallpaper.
Yeah, it's an Art Deco wallpaper. My whole house is kind of like Art Deco meets mid-modern century. Yeah,
I love it. So, this show is a little bit 30s, so I guess that's maybe a little bit later. I don't know exactly my architecture, but
the wallpaper is actually the 20s.
Oh, okay, yeah. So not too far. No, okay. So about a decade off, but
it does go to the early 30s. So it's perfect. It's on theme for what we're going to see.
Amazing. Yeah. And I do want to, when we start getting into it, I do want to talk to you a little bit about the art decoration and everything in the show and the costumes together. So, but this is my first time having you on the channel. I'm so happy you're here.
Thanks.
But, just to warm things up and to get to know you a bit better, I was wondering if you wouldn't mind telling me a little bit about yourself and how you decided to go into costume design.
Well, the reason that let's see. I guess my favorite story about how I got started is I wanted to know where the actors got their clothes, right? And I did go to FIDM, which is the Fashion Institute of Design and Merchandising in Los Angeles, downtown Los Angeles, which is no more, sadly. And I went there for visuals because they didn't have a costume design program at the time. So I wanted to know where the actors got their clothes. I worked in retail at the mall, and everyone who would come in and shop for shows, I would ask how they got started. And I ended up getting an interview for Sabrina the Teenage Witch, the original.
Oh my gosh, amazing.
And as a costume PA, and that was my very first job. And then I just worked my way up.
That's so cool. Whereabouts are you in LA? Whereabouts are you? Yeah, you're so LA based.
Born and raised in LA. I did move to New York 2004 to 2009, which I loved. It's still doing the same thing I'm doing now. It's like bi-coastal. And then I decided to move back to LA. Sunshine.
Yay. I know, I could tell. Well, I'm in Canada, but we are now starting to get some sun. So I don't feel too jealous of you looking at your beautiful weather. So now the show Spider Noir. Now I did watch Into the Spider-Verse with my kids and then the sequel. So, but I have to admit that I forgot that Nick Cage voiced that character. And I'm not, I'm a mom. I'm not completely familiar with, all of the comic strips, the Marvel and so on. So did you want to tell me a little bit about this particular story? And, it's a bit film noir. Did you want to just share with us a little bit about your take on what this story is about?
Well, this story is kind of singular. You know what I mean? It's more gritty, I think, than what Marvel and Sony have done in the past with the Spider-Man. And what we did is that it's grounded in reality, right? So basically it is a, 1930s story about a man who happens to have superpowers that turn him into the spider. So with that in mind, the take was always based in reality. And I'm a costume designer that always likes to have like a backstory. So with Ben in particular, he was in the war. And he was stationed in France, and he rode motorcycles. And so his super suit, his Spider-Man suit, is basically based off of motorcycle gear of the time.
Yes.
As well as the pants.
Yeah.
And then the trench coat is actually war inspired. It's actually a trench coat that officers wore. And then the fedora is of the time. But basically, the goggles are from when Ben was a doughboy, which is, flying aircrafts. And the mask itself is based off of Ben's military sweater. So basically, it's supposed to be a knit sweater that he sewed together in order to create the mask. So every single piece basically has a story behind it.
I love that. So one of the things, of course, the story, it's Depression era New York, and you said you used to live in New York, so I'm sure that was really helpful for you. So were there any references or research, obviously there was, that you looked at, and in that case, what did you look at for research?
Oh my goodness, so much research, right?
Of course.
Like the rest of the world, which is a 1930s like comic book like heightened state. So basically, I took 1930s designs. They could be off of patterns, 1930s. There's books, obviously, museums and that kind of thing. Research online. I also love the doll books, like the paper doll books. Like they to like have like some really great fashion inspirations, some couture looks, and so I did get some inspiration for Cat Hardy from paper dolls. Yeah, I know. And then just historically across the board, just trying to figure out like what exactly was happening at the time, and then translating that into comic book meets superhero.
Mm-hmm. Did you actually shoot in New York though, or did you shoot in LA?
Sorry, what I meant to say is 1930s meets comic book. Anyway,
oh, okay, yes.
So no, we did not shoot in New York. Everything was in LA.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. So you recreated the look of New York. Of course, it's like a totally different era.
It is. And so, but the beauty of shooting in LA is that we do have these wonderful studios here that on the back lots, there tends to be a New York street or a couple of New York streets. And so our production designer really like went in there and like, recreated New York if necessary, like, kind of just like redid what was there. And so I think Warren did an amazing job with that.
Now, did you also look to other like noir films or pulp art, anything like that to sort of inspire you?
Yeah, I mean, Chinatown is a big one that we all used. I kind of just looked at like stars of the time as well. Like old Hollywood glamour was like super important to me because I wanted that feeling for Kat. Humphrey Bogart, of course, for Nick. It just was like, and it's hard because I went down a rabbit hole and I watched so many different noirs that like at the time when I was doing this research, there were so many different avenues. It was just like, it was kind of overwhelming with how much was there. So yeah, I mean, I think for me, it was mostly just watching those films and then picking particular characters and then, using those as inspiration.
Now, of course, the one very cool thing about this series is as a viewer, you can choose to either watch it in black and white.
One cool thing.
Well, no, I mean, obviously there's many, but this one specific cool thing, as a viewer, we're able to choose whether we can watch it in color and black and white. By the way, I watched it in color. Hopefully that's not the wrong choice.
No.
I did because I wanted to see your colors on your costumes, right? So how did that change how you approached the costume, or did it change how you approached the costume?
Well, I think there's a couple things about the black and white versus color, right? When I first accepted the job, we were only shooting in black and white. So the first like week or so, I was focused on like nothing but like what black and white would look like and thinking about patterns and tones and colors in that state of mind. And then about a week and a half into it, we were told that we were going to shoot it in both color and black and white. I thought it was very exciting. It hadn't been done before. It's like choose your own adventure. When you're watching it, you can toggle back and forth. Like if you're watching it in black and white, you want to know what the color version looks like. You can see that. And I mean, I don't think there's a wrong or right way. Like I do think the black and white is extremely beautiful. But the color versions like will blow your mind because it's like Technicolor, like, just like pops of like Technicolor. So in terms of like costume design, there was a lot of testing involved. Darren, our DP, our director of photography, he is just a dream to work with. And so basically we had these cameras that had a Lutz lens in them. And so what we did is we camera tested every single piece of fabric or notion that we wanted to use to make sure that it would work in both mediums. And so the driving force for me was like, if the fabric could reflect light, or if the print had like contrast in it, like those things are super important because they would work in both mediums. And the color choices, it's just like, you can't use, like, if you use red, it goes black, and so it's like, you just kind of have to remember, like if you use green, it goes like in this amazing color in black and white, like it's like this beautiful like mauve sort of tone. So it's like knowing all these things and learning as you go along. It was like such an education, and I feel like I learned so much. And the way it ended up looking in both mediums, I couldn't be more proud. So a lot of testing, a lot of not sleeping, creating over 1,000 like custom pieces. So yeah, I just think that like overall it was great, but it was a crazy challenge.
Yeah, like I was watching in color, and I really noticed all of the different textures, like especially with Ben, like lots of tweeds, and you had like all kinds of wonderful like suiting fabrics, and they really it was kind of nice because everything is so dark nowadays. A lot of shows are so dark, and all of the color that was there was just really wonderful to see. I did want to ask you, so do you know this story about Edith Head, about how she, because she used to do movies in black and white and color, and she actually had these crazy fitted lenses for her glasses. So if she was doing a fitting with an actor, she could like tell what it would look like in black and white. Did you do anything like that with, like, I know you can do that with an iPhone, you can have like a special setting. Did you do any of that type of stuff while you were shopping or doing fittings?
Basically, it was more about the fabrics, ahead of time, because we didn't really, none of it was really shopped. Most of it was either pulled from a costume house or created, like a specific piece. So what we did do is once we found the fabric that we liked, we did use the iPhone with the black and white. And sorry, my dog. Alf?
Oh, that's okay.
Oh, the gardener is outside.
Yeah, maybe we'll see Al.
Yeah. Alf is...
Oh, Alf! Oh, I love the name. Wonderful.
Yeah, he is based off of the TV show.
Yes, my niece actually has the little plushie of that.
Oh, so cute.
Yeah, she's had it all these years.
So to answer your question, yes, black and white. We also videoed things just so that we could kind of see the movement. I think all that's really important so you know how it plays.
So, by the way, I saw an interview with Nicolas Cage, and he just spoke so highly of you. He did a major shout out to you in his interview. And so here we have Ben Reilly. He's an aging detective. Like, he's not like, he's not Spry's, because I was like, oh, but I guess, but then we do have some flashbacks with him. So do you want to tell me how specifically you were trying to balance his Ben Reilly versus the Spider character? Because sometimes he does sort of like, he pops into the Spider very quickly, right? He doesn't change into his full look. So do you want to tell me a little bit about that?
Yes. I also want to tell you a quick story about Nick Cage. So my first meeting with him, you just get to meet an actor, and I mean, he's Nick Cage, right? So you're like, all
absolutely.
right. But I treat everybody the same, which I think that like actors really love about me, because I'm just like, I'm just genuine. It's just like, I'm so excited about whatever we're doing usually that like, I'm like, we're going to do this and we're going to do that and look at this and blah, blah, blah. And so, I had him try on a couple of suits just for like fit and form. And we were talking about the backstory, we were talking about Bogart, about all these things. And he just looks at me and he was like, Tracey. And I was like, yeah, and he was like, you really like this, don't you? You're like really into this. And I was like, I am, like, I live for this. And he was like, you're like sunshine. And I was like, okay, Nick. I was like, I'm going to take that, I'm going to put it in my pocket. And anytime I'm like sad or down, I'm going to pull it out. And I was like, Nick Cage said I'm sunshine.
That's amazing.
Lovely story.
Yeah. He spoke very, very highly of you in this interview. I should see if I can find it and send it to you.
Okay.
Because it's rare, I have to say, because I watch a lot of junket interviews, and it's rare for an actor to, mention the costume designer. So it's very nice when they do.
I have to say across the board, all the actors have been super supportive of the costume design. And one of the most wonderful things about this show is like, they would go to set and they hadn't seen each other and they would be like, whoa, your outfit is so awesome. And it was like, they were into each other's clothes, and so it just, it really made the costume department, and myself included, like just feel like we were like, pat on the back, like we were doing a great job. Okay, back to like the difference between Ben
and the spider.
Yes. So, Nick always has like a motivation for whatever he's doing, right? Like, so when he's Ben and we're mixing the two, it was important that he was able to like be physically able to do what he wanted to do, like pull up the mask or like, use the hat, the fedora, or, the goggles or whatever. And so, we had to make custom pieces in order to accommodate that, which was fine because, we want the performance to be what the actor wants it to be, what the director wants it to be. And I mean, the difference is that like, again, it's tweeds, it's like suiting, it's Bogart. I know he looks so handsome.
This is such a great picture.
Can't stand it. It's like, in the moment you can't really appreciate it all, and then when it's done and you see these stills, you're like, man, that looks so good. So it was important that his suits not be like too perfect. Like as you can see, like there's a little pulling in the front. It's not, he's had these suits for a while. Like he doesn't really care. He's like, he lost Ruby and he just kind of like lost his will to like.
Sorry, he's in the background on that one.
I mean, I love this costume on Kat. Like, and this like the hat. Like, I can't even. And most of her hats were custom. And we had an amazing milliner that worked with us in house and also at Western Costume, Thomas, and so it just was like. Having all these wonderful like artisans help me create these pieces was just like heaven. And then as far as the spider goes, like, it was like leather and mostly leather. And then also just like sweaters from the war and like and the goggles that like lit up. And so, the fedora was like this most beautiful leather. I mean, there's so many stories I can tell about like how, I had to have this like special leather from France that for the trench coat because I needed it to move, like when he is flying through the air, when he is jumping around, when he's landing, the lightness of this leather just kind of like played into the beauty of like the movement. And so, we almost didn't get it. And
oh my gosh. Plus you would need extras, right? You would need more for your stunt teams. And you made 8. Okay.
Yeah. Between the stunt double and Nick had 8 spider costumes. It's just like, the thing is that people don't, if you're not doing this, you don't really understand like all the nuances that go into like finding the perfect thing and then being told that they have no more or that it's impossible to get it or like, it's like, where there's a will, there's a way. And I have always felt like that through my entire life. And so, there's no, there's only like, I've got to figure it out because I really need it. So there's just like, there's so many stories about fabrics and like just barely get like with Kat's bird dress. Literally.
Yeah, unfortunately, I have this one, but maybe I can get a better one from you of this.
Yeah. If you look on my Instagram, please, everyone, just take a look at my Instagram. There's such amazing like images there, especially of this dress and also the illustration of this dress. Like we had literally just enough fabric to create this dress. Like when I think we may have had like this much left, like because it's pleated, it took like twice as much fabric. Almost 3 times as much fabric.
It's fan pleated, I think you said, right?
It's sunburst pleated.
Sunburst pleated, sorry, yes.
Yeah, that's okay.
And it looks sort of like Egyptian. It has like an Egyptian quality to it.
Grecian, yeah, exactly. So it's one of my favorite dresses of the entire season. Yeah. And it's also Oren's favorite dress, our creator. He loves the dress. He's always like, bird dress. And I'm like...
What is the significance of the bird, by the way?
Okay. So I'm glad you picked up on that. There's a lot of Easter eggs. I'm an Easter egg kind of costume.
I love Easter eggs.
Yeah, me too. And so the bird symbolizes that Cat is basically in a gilded cage. Right?
Yes.
She is, living at the alcove, and basically Silvermane keeps her in this cage, and she's a beautiful bird that he like dresses up, and so that's the symbolism. You'll see other birds throughout her costumes. And so I'm glad that you picked up.
Yeah, like the red dress, it has sort of a bird motif. And by the way, there is a lot of sort of Asian influence, I feel, on her costumes. It was that, like even this one kind of has a bit of it feels like the brocade almost, maybe it's not, but it had a bit of an Asian feel to me.
Yeah, I mean, a little bit. I tried to not go too far into leaning into the fact that Cat is played by an Asian woman, Lily, who is amazing, and I mean, could not have worn the costumes any better, and she played this femme fatale like so well. Because our cast is so diverse, it was just important to me that they just be people, and so yes, there may be a little bit of like Asian influence. But mostly just because that was like what was happening at the time. Like
it was popular, I guess, in the 30s.
Like a neck, an outfit. So, but not necessarily intention to connect it to Cat.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, this gold dress is sort of like her, this is how we first meet her. And I read, I think on your notes on Instagram that you kind of pushed for this headpiece. Is that correct?
Oh, did I push for this headpiece? Yes. So,
and of course, it's all over the posters and stuff. So it was a good choice.
I mean, obviously it was the right choice. So
as
a costume designer, I say this all the time, especially when I'm speaking to like students on a panel or what have you, is like, your inherent self, you know what I mean? Like, and if you listen to your true, I hate saying this, but it's true. It's like your artistic nature. Like if you are feeling whatever that is, and it's the right thing or the right piece or the right fabric, then, it's like, choose your battles wisely. And like, the original illustration had a larger headpiece, right? Which was, of the time as well as this one. And Oren was just like, she doesn't need the headpiece. Like the dress is enough. Like she's singing, da da da. And she does have to like. We see her sitting in a booth like later, and so we were trying to figure out all the logistics of it. And I was like, okay, compromise. We'll make it smaller, but she has to have it. This is her moment. We are meeting her. She's like. Ben is like instantly like attracted to her. Everyone in the audience is mesmerized. Like. She needs this. And so, we got it in. And as far as this dress goes, I have to tell you that there was so much testing on this dress because I was obsessed. Gold is my favorite color. I wear gold every day. Like, my nails, gold. Like, I am a gold person. And I really wanted this dress to have gold foil in it because I wanted the light to reflect, which as you can see, if you look closely, it's an Art Deco print that is illuminated by the light, And so a lot of the testing that we did, the foil was like going black or like doing like weird, like turning weird colors. And so we did finally get it to perfection. And we put a gold chiffon layer over it. And so, so it created this like amazing like melody with the lights, it just, I couldn't be more proud of this piece. And as far as like just connecting it to the time, like, of course, it's like the silhouette, very 1930s, as well as like the Art Deco beading that is up the front and around the back. And so we wanted to highlight the back of the dress as well. And so if you look on my Instagram, you'll see a photo of an image of the back of the gown as well as an illustration, like down to every detail. I am, I tend to say that like I'm obsessive because I just really want it to be as perfect as possible. And I do think that this gown like really just like really hit the mark. So I'm just so happy that everybody loves it so much because I love it.
I was going to say, so the beading, I actually, when I first saw it, I thought it was metal work. I thought it was like you had, maybe some kind of, because it looks very weighty.
It is. It's a very heavy weighted beading. It does have a metal quality to it, I will say, but it's heavy beading.
I have to tell you, I don't have a picture. Maybe I can get one from you. My favorite is her green dress, the gold with the green. Yeah. It reminds me, and this is maybe what you went for. It reminds me of those beetles, the reflective beetles. Yeah. And I kept going, what is going on there? How is this dress working? What is with this fabric? It was one of those sort of, Yeah. Do you want to tell me a little bit about that dress? And maybe I can insert a picture if I can get it from you.
That dress, I walked into Mood Fabrics, which is
oh my gosh, wow.
Yeah. And so there's a Mood here and there's a Mood also in New York. And I walked into the fabric store and I saw this fabric and I was like, and I walked this way and then I walked that way and I was like, that's like green and rust. And they did have some other color combinations. I think like one more or maybe two more, but that one just kind of like really caught my eye. And I was like, I worked with a guy named Will down at Mood Fabrics, and they are amazing. And so Will pulled it down for me, and I was like, I don't know what I'm going to make out of this, but I need this fabric. So I bought the fabric, not knowing what I was going to create, and I took it back to my office. And then, I kind of just like was playing around with like the idea and ended up like there is a pattern that I saw that was very similar, like up here. I changed the bottom of the dress a little bit, but and so I was like, okay, this needs to be it. And when we did the testing, the way it shimmered, in black and white was just like breathtaking. I will say that is Nick's favorite costume out of the entire season.
Really? So we have the same taste. I feel very privileged.
It's literally his favorite costume. I actually, I have an interview with him that I'll post at some point where I'm asking him what his favorite costume is, and he is describing this dress.
That's amazing.
Isn't that amazing? Yeah. So the other pieces about this is that like the pieces up here, the buckles, those are actually shoe buckles from 1930, like 1933, I think, that I found online that like I just had to have. And then the beautiful chiffon piece that is attached that gives her just like a little something. I actually found that on Temu. And
oh my gosh, wow.
Right? I mean, you never know. I could not find anything in Los Angeles that was that. And I saw it on Temu and I had to order it twice because the first one didn't arrive. And it ended up being like the perfect thing. So that's the story behind that dress.
Amazing. Well, I've got a couple of other pictures here I can pull up as well. So, she's always got beautiful hats, and this is a cute suit.
I love this one. So this is her traveling suit because she's going to get on a train and leave.
Try to.
And so it's her traveling outfit, her traveling suit.
Yes.
And so yes, Thomas, our in-house milliner, he made this hat, and it is perfection. It matches the costume exactly. And I don't know if you've picked up on her color tones, but she has burgundy accents in this particular look, which means that she is feeling more towards Ben, because Ben's colors are gray and burgundy. And then you'll notice that like when she's more team Flint or more like feeling lovely towards Flint, she has some green accents.
Yeah, well, here she is with I don't know if she's team Flint at this point.
No, this is the end.
This is the end, yes.
Throughout the season, you'll see that like you'll be able to reflect her mood based off of like the color tones that she's wearing. So that's another little Easter egg. Yeah,
I'm going to come back to you about color. I have a specific question about color. But before we do that, I wanted to talk a little bit about Janet. So, we have two female characters. I said this is mostly, oftentimes in comic books, we have a largely male cast, but we have these two wonderful Spitfire women, strong females. Even though, even though Kat's a femme fatale, she still feels to me like a strong female character. But Janet, oh my gosh, what a breath of fresh air she is. Do you want to tell me a little bit of, I've got a few pictures of her here.
Yes, Karen Rodriguez, she came in and she just like stole the show. Like,
she's so good.
She's so good. And she's fiery Latina, like you just feel it through her performance. And so with her costumes, she's like, has like this very like, you know, large personality and strong. And so I wanted her clothes to feel that way. So there's like, you know, these great prints that like stand out and like pops of color and like, you know, she's always put together like head to toe. And so it was just important to me that her clothes were a nod to like how strong she is. So that's basically the vibe behind Karen. And again, like, you know, I'm come from like a multicultural background. I'm Black and Jewish. And the fact that we had such a diverse cast was so meaningful to me. Like I went to Oren when he cast Karen and I was just like, this ensemble is like incredible. Like I don't think we could have had like a better cast. So look how beautiful she looks here. Like
she looks amazing. And I love her silhouettes too. Like she's got a really great silhouette. Yes. But also a lot of times I don't have that many pictures of her, but a lot of times she wears like a really beautiful print. Yeah. Even when she's in the office, she makes an effort, right? By the way, we were talking a little bit about the spider earlier. I just was going to say, as a side note, the scene where like she knows that he's the spider, that Ben's the spider, and she keeps going busting in on that scene. I rewatched that yesterday. That scene just is so hilarious. And he's like, I think he's got like, you know, sock garters on or something. I don't know.
His boxers, and he has like
his boxers.
On. He's got the goggles. I have that also on my Instagram. People love.
It's like, so funny. Yeah, that must have been really fun to do that scene.
Everyone was laughing, like trying to like hold in their laughter.
Oh, it was so hilarious.
Yeah. I just want to say one thing about Karen really quick. Just like, you know, dressing for your body type and like it doesn't matter what shape or size you are. It's just about being able to find the right silhouettes that work. And I feel like with Karen, we really like found the pieces that worked so well on her. And, you know, if I do say so myself, I feel like she looked gorgeous and strong and all the things that we were trying to portray. So I just, you know, everything about like being inclusive of everyone is like very important to me. So I wanted to make sure that, you know, Janet hit the mark.
She does. And, well, I can maybe get into this question a little bit before I go back to the other one I was going to ask you, but also just like every department is just, doing such an amazing job. So the hair, the makeup, like I saw Kat like on Instagram, her nails, the hair, of course, like these beautiful waves and the makeup and just all of the accessories. And of course, all the, with our I don't know if you will call them villains or our, where are they?
Oh, they're villains.
They're villains, just like all the prosthetics and everything. So just, that must have been working with all of those departments together. You guys just completely nailed it. Do you want to tell me a little bit how that worked out, working with all of those departments?
What I will say just across the board about everyone that worked on Spider Noir is everyone was collaborative. Everybody wanted to be there. Everyone wanted to work, together. I spent a lot of time with Lana and Teresa, that was our heads of hair and makeup, just kind of like figuring out like what would work best for everyone across the board, especially Kat. And I spent a lot of time in Warren's office, which is our production designer, just making sure that the characters, like their clothing would work well in the world that he was creating. So even with stunts, I mean, our stunt coordinator with Freddie, like it's important that we all have like this, these relationships that we work well with each other so that we're providing like the best that we can from every department in order to make it cohesive. You know what I mean? So again, I can't do it without hair and makeup because, that completes the look for me. Like the clothes are the clothes until like we get, the prosthetics or like the hair or the wigs or the makeup, the nails, it's like, I feel like those are like the cherry on top of like, the base of what I've started. So
And all of your jewelry as well, all of your beautiful jewelry, your handbags, your hats, like all of those wonderful.
I created a lot of the purses in order to like match Kat's outfits.
Oh, okay.
Like so important to me. And as far as the jewelry goes, a lot of that is actually vintage jewelry that I sourced. And I very early on in my career, I worked with Lou Eyrick, who I was her assistant, and she does all of Ryan Murphy's stuff, and so she really taught me the attention to like detail in forms of like accessories. I find I wear a lot of accessories myself, and I just feel like it gives you your individualism, you know, like you are an individual when you have like, you know, your accessories that you wear. I feel like it just kind of like helps create the character. So very important.
Now, the other thing I wanted to talk to you about is you were mentioning the production design, because, you know, you've got these beautiful interiors. Like, you know, we were looking at this scene, we've got the color, the lighting. So we've got here, like, but there was like a couple of scenes, for instance, where it's like, there would be like a Kelly green, you know, or then there'd be like maybe a turquoise and an orange. So how, like, did you, when you were like maybe doing your mood boards, or would you like pop into their office just to sort of say, okay, what colors are you thinking for that scene? How did you navigate all of that?
So basically, we shared our mood boards very early on, right? And I love Warren. He is an amazing production designer. He would send over swatches of or tile or whatever he was going to use in the various scenes, so that I kind of knew what the backdrop would look like. And so that really helped me, you know, it was indicative of like what costumes, you know, I would be able to use in that world, just so that everything worked. So yeah, again, it goes back to being collaborative and like, you know, having these conversations. And what I will say, and I think that Nick has said this more than once, is that like we created a world like between myself, Warren, and Darren, our DP, like we were creating a world. And so it was really important that we're all on the same page, right? And I do think between like Warren's backdrop and Darren, the way he lit it, and like taking the care of the costumes to make sure that like the fabric was exactly like what it needed to be, like whether it was reflective or had contrast or what have you, like, you know, down to like every detail, including the jewelry. Like, I think we all were like super meticulous about how we wanted it to look and feel.
Like, I'm just looking at this picture of the spider, for instance, you know, lit with that sort of red light and then the purple in the background. It just gives a different sort of look to that sort of, I guess it's sort of a chocolate brown coat.
The entire costume is a chocolate dark brown. Yeah.
So it's just sort of neat to see it. And even the goggles, you know, just, but anyway, yeah, it's very painterly, the show, I found.
Yes, I agree with you. It's beautiful.
Now, speaking of color, I really, really want to talk to you about some of the color palettes you chose. I know you specifically mentioned Ben and Kat, but there's also like Silvermane, for instance. Well, first of all, he feels very, even though he's a gangster, he feels very old money. How did you land on this particular color and silhouette for him?
So basically, I based him off of Capone. So I had like silhouettes that I wanted to achieve. The trench coats were super important. They felt sinister and gangster and just intimidating, which is what I was going for. And as far as the color palettes, I did a lot of research within the comic books. And, you know, I actually am kind of a nerd, so like I enjoyed, you know, reading a lot of the comic books, and I'm really into sci-fi as a whole. So like, you know, anything that's like Star Wars or Spaceballs is one of my favorite movies of all time.
Oh yeah, and they're doing a remount of it, or a sequel maybe.
I designed it.
Did you design it? Oh my gosh! Well, we're gonna have to have you come back and talk about that. This is a dream project, like creating the spider. Isn't Mel Brooks doing the sequel?
He is.
Oh my gosh! Wow, that must be amazing.
I mean, I have to say both these jobs were like dream jobs. I couldn't have like I can't even express, like, I'm probably going to blush because, like, I'm like over the moon about the fact that I got to do both these projects. Okay, so basically the connective tissue is like Sandman. Like, if you look into the comic books, like, he's a lot of like greens and tans, like, of the earth, of sand. And then, as you see there, and then if you look into Lonnie Tombstone, like, he basically, there's a lot of purples and berries in his world. And so, again, the connective tissue. And then Megawatt, who I like, Andrew, who played Megawatt.
Oh my gosh.
Insane. He's so great.
He's amazing.
Yeah. And so I wanted his costumes to feel like electric, like shocking. And so we used a lot of like yellows and golds, and a little bit of orange there. And so, it was important to me that the fans love not only the spider, which I feel like a lot of the fans have been very gracious and have said that, like, the spider looks just like the comic. So I am so thrilled. But I really wanted the villains to feel reminiscent of the comic books. So I feel like we did that with the color palette. And I am so happy with how it all, like, just kind of feels like right and real. I
have to say, sorry, I have to just mention that my favorite man's costumes are Robbie's.
I was just
like that guy,
literally
the drip. The drip, as the young people say. Is that what they say?
Yes. Or
the drip.
His fit is like so, like,
even though he's poor, he has no food in his fridge. But like, wow, like, and
this is my reasoning, which actually Lamorne had mentioned on I think it was like the CBS Saturday. He was like being interviewed. So this is the whole thing about Robbie, right? He looks sharp. First and foremost, like, African American people as a whole tend to like have great fashion, and I feel like people tend to like look at African American style as inspiration for like their own style. And so that was one of the bases. The other base was that, like, he's a reporter. He needs to look good. He has to be able to walk into different businesses, hospitals, like wherever. And so he can't not look good. And so, what Lamorne and I talked about, because Lamorne asked the same question, was like, why would he have like, these fits? And I basically was like, he needs to look good, and this is where he puts his money. And I was like, and nobody knows that you don't have food, that you're eating like a ketchup sandwich. Like, nobody needs to know that. Only you know that. And so I like his color tone, his palette. This plaid trench is one of my favorite pieces of like the entire season. And Lamorne just looks so sharp. And there's something about a well-dressed man, right? That like can get you through a door. And so that's the basis of Robbie Robertson. Yeah,
and then Ben ends up wearing one of his suits later on.
Yes, which I love. And
but he kind of looked like to me like sherbet, like an orange sherbet.
Yeah,
I love that color.
Yeah, it is. He definitely, his color palette is rust orange. Browns. So yeah, right in that world. A little bit of lemon.
I was going to tell you that I remember there's a story of my grandfather. My dad told me that during the Depression, like my family are Canadian in Montreal, but during the Depression, my grandparents didn't have a lot of money. But my father told me that my grandfather, when he went out, he was always perfectly dressed. Right. Like, the suit would be pressed, the shoes would be polished. He'd always have a hat. He'd have like, a watch, like, so, and even if the suit was like thinning a little bit, he would always be dressed to the nines. It's a very different approach we have, I think, compared to, it's like almost 100 years ago.
Yeah. I mean, people just don't take that kind of care anymore on a daily basis. Absolutely. I mean, the fact that like women wore gloves and stockings almost every day. Like,
absolutely. And stockings.
Yeah.
For sure. Until then I heard when there was like during, I think it was World War II, there was a silk shortage, or because they were using parachutes, so they had to paint the lines on the backs of their calves, which is so fun. Yeah. Before we run out of time, I just have a few more questions to ask you. So the first one is there a costume detail or a small design choice in this show that you're especially proud of? And, or even if, maybe viewers might not have noticed on the first watch. So you probably have several.
I do. And I feel like I've mentioned a lot of them. Yeah, I'm trying to think. Like, I one of my there's a couple of favorites that I just
Oh,
okay.
one of the ones I was going to ask you about this is this one with Silvermane.
Yeah.
What is that beautiful sort of, almost like a chatelaine or like a little decoration on his coat?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So it was important to me that the villains all kind of have like something in common that make them a part of like Silvermane's gang.
Hmm.
And so they all kind of have like this beautiful like brooch detail
Yeah.
or
Like I see these gentlemen wearing
yeah,
something. Yeah.
exactly. Or there's like a tie pin that has a little bit of a jewel into it. It's like
Mhm.
basically they've now come into money, and this is like my
Yeah.
way of like expressing the fact that like they now have money. So that was kind of the detail behind that, as well as like the tailoring. I wanted the tailoring to be like as perfect as possible. So, just having them feel like intimidating and sinister was like the goal.
Was there, aside from what you've told me, are there any other Easter eggs that we should be looking for?
Um, I don't think so. I can't remember now if we see him without his vest on, the spider. But if we do, take a
Oh,
look at the sweater and see
oh, okay.
if anything
Well,
matches there.
oh, okay. Well, we'll look for that. Actually, by the way, this is have this picture of Ben here, which is so funny as well.
Yes. Um, this was great. This was like him being a janitor and
Yeah,
the glasses
he does.
really.
I loved it because I recognize like he goes to the movies and he's watching these different characters in the movies, and then he's like, okay, I'm going to pretend to be like James Cagney or something like that. I love that.
He totally copied that.
Yeah. So before I let you go, so like this is a limited. It feels like I don't know. It's a limited series, but it feels like it could go on. Are we hoping? Is there going to be a season
Yeah.
2?
I guess we'll know soon if we're picked up for a second season, and hopefully we'll shoot it again in LA. And yeah,
Yes, because spoilers. My husband called it. He says, I suspect there's not going to be enough serum for the spider, so the story will go on.
That's exactly what happened at the end. Yeah, there's not.
Yeah.
I mean, basically, he gave it to Flint so that
Yes,
him and Kat can live happily ever after.
I love that though. Yeah.
I think Oren dropped a hint about second season, maybe touching on World War II. So maybe that will be something.
Oh, okay. That's interesting. So it might have a bit of a time jump.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know, but I read that somewhere.
Wonderful. So, no, but what about you, Tracy? This show must have wrapped a little while ago. You tell me that you're working on Spaceballs. So is that in production right now?
We wrapped. So basically,
wow.
we shot Spider 15 months ago. And
Okay.
so, it takes about a year for visual effects. And so in that time, I did The Burbs with Keke Palmer. And then I went to Sydney and shot Spaceballs 2 with a lot of the reoccurring cast from the first Spaceballs. And just to kind of touch on that, like, again, it's another one where everybody wanted to be there. It's iconic, like a good group of people just really like collaborating. And I mean, listen, I got to remake some of the costumes from the original.
That's so cool.
Totally geeking out about it. Like,
yeah. So it must have been sad though not having John Candy because he's a beloved Canadian actor. Absolutely. But you had Rick Moranis though?
We had Rick Moranis. He is the best. I love him so much. He's like, I can't even say enough.
He's a Canadian treasure,
Oh, I know. We heard all about it, about how great it is.
Canadians are always saying you have to envelop Rick Moranis and protect him.
I mean, he is a treasure. We love him. Yeah, so we do a little bit of a tribute to John Candy, which is great. And so from what I've seen, a rough cut, and from what I'm hearing, people really love Spaceballs too. So that will come out in April of next year, April 27th, 2027. So
wow, you're so busy.
Watch it in the theaters.
So do you have anything exciting that you're going to be working on in the next several months? Or are you taking a little break? Seeing Spider Noir is coming back?
Break. What I have been doing is traveling around with the Spider. And we went to Mexico's Comic-Con not that long ago, which was super exciting. We were in New York for the premiere, and also, like, I don't know if you saw the Spider, like, climbed up the Regal Theater, or actually climbed down the Regal Theater. He like showed up on a 1930s taxi. So, we've been doing a lot of like fun stuff with the Spider all around. So that's what I've kind of been doing. And I guess we'll see what happens next. Maybe it'll be a season 2 for Spider Noir.
Mm-hmm. And by the way, on the Amazon site, there's a gorgeous picture of you in this amazing sort of red, I think it's red gown.
Oh, it is. It's kind of like a watermelon color from the premiere, right? That's really,
yes.
Yeah. So much.
Yeah. So I'm going to add a picture of that if you're okay with that. I didn't want to do it without asking your permission.
I think, go ahead, please. I think the one that's on my site is actually a reel, so you wouldn't be able to take it from there. It has a Grecian feel.
Yes, I love it because to tie into Cat or whatever. Yeah, I was going to say it sort of has is it Alex Barton and Madame Gree kind of, that sort of feeling you were kind of going for.
Yes.
Well, wonderful. Well, I want to thank you so much for spending time with me today and talking to me and just getting to know you a little bit better.
Yeah, this was great. Let's do it again for Spaceballs 2.
I'd love to. I'd absolutely love to. Okay, so anyway, for everyone, so Spider Noir, it's out now. You can watch all episodes. That's what I did. Actually, I watched a couple at a time. You can watch it in black and white. You can watch it in color, but it sounds like you can go back and forth between if you want to see what the costumes look like in black and white. And anyway, I hope to see you in another video, everyone. Thanks so much, Tracy.
You're welcome. Bye.
Bye, everyone.